Hello and welcome to another special episode of the Sligo Show with myself, Brendan Tierney. I'm joined by one of the newest additions to the Sligo Olympic Club, Lauren Cadden. You are very welcome to your first Sligo Show.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here.
Very good. You're all excited. You love the lights and the mics now. You're
Love it,
having
yeah,
the crack with the lads there beforehand. You're all settled.
A great setup.
So for anyone that might know you, this is your first, big event like the Olympics, I suppose, and people are getting to see the face and know the name a bit more. So I know that Gaelic football, would you say that was your first love, or were you always doing the two together?
Yeah, to be honest, I was probably always doing the two together since I kind of took up athletics properly. So Gaelic was kind of the first sport that I dabbled at. I've always kind of been interested in a lot of sports. I kind of tried my hand at majority of ones that I could. And then I started kind of doing the little bit of community games, and I kind of was winning a few races, and I realised, okay, maybe I might be quick.
Yeah, was there an age was it like 10, was it 14? You go, I'm really fast.
I actually think it was when I was in 5th or 6th class in primary school, and I remember we were doing the sports days, and I would have won my races or whatever, and then the boys would have asked me to race. And
okay.
sometimes
Let's be honest, I presume you were hammering people, were you?
There was one boy that I was always kind of close with, but some of them, I'd beat them, and I was like, okay, when you're younger, if you're beating the boys, it's like, I must be fast.
Marker, The Irish Olympic team are watching from far. Keep an eye on her.
So, and then I was doing a little bit of training, just kind of the odd Tuesday and Thursday. And then it was when I was about maybe 16, I'm going to say 15 or 16, I started training with my current coach, Dermot McDermott. And
local legend.
Yes, since then, I think, since I joined his group, there's been a few lows, but majority it's been on the way up, thank God.
And I mean, we'll come back a bit into the past minute, but for the most recent, the Olympics.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it like? I suppose to simplify it. What was it like?
It was amazing. It was honestly, it's still surreal. I think it's been a dream of mine since I actually started running. It's always been a dream. I think anyone that is in a sport that you can reach the Olympics, it is their dream. It is the pinnacle of sport. And I remember last year Dermot said it to me that, he had wanted me to move up to fours. I did one last year, and then I got injured. And then he said it last kind of August, maybe, before I went into winter training about, really focusing on the four this year because there is an opportunity there for the Olympics. And at the time I was like, maybe is it a little bit far-fetched? I suppose that was just a little bit of self-doubt. Yeah. And then I took it on, and we kind of changed a little bit of winter training. And it came true. Obviously, it came with the disappointment of not running, but I suppose that's life and that's sport. There's always going to be someone on that end of disappointment, and unfortunately, it was me this time. But I mean, it's my first year focusing on fours, and
not a bad first year.
Yeah, the fact I got to the Olympics was.
So, how long have you been training with any level of Irish team or senior teams?
This year, really, I actually made every major championships that I could have this year. Last year, I went away once, I think, with the team for a low-key meet. Okay. But that would have been this year was my first time making a major championships.
So you've just been training in Sligo 2023 back. You've never really been meeting up with the other people you've competed with now as such. So
just winter gone, I actually done a few sessions with Phil Healy up in Dublin. So she's on the relay team. Yeah. And she was a really good kind of mentor to have, because with fours, I do think there's a lot of learning to it. I definitely still am learning. I've ran races and I've ran similar times, but I've ran them a little bit differently. It's just kind of finding what works. So I did a few sessions with Phil and her coach up in Dublin, and that really helped. But majority, has been in Sligo.
Okay, so when you say learning, what's the biggest difference? Obviously, it's you've to hand over a stick. but is it just is it to a different type of training, or?
Yeah, it is a different type of training. So I'm coming from the speed side, so I'm coming from mainly twos and obviously a few ones a few years ago. So with the four, it's different energy systems. It's learning kind of to. I call it float. So how I try to run my fours is to get out hard and then kind of float maybe the second 100, but not relax. Okay. So there's such a fine line. If you relax too much, it's very hard to then.
I know, it must be millions of thoughts going through your head until you're obviously trained in it.
Yeah.
To go, I know this is, because you don't be looking at a watch obviously to go, I know I'm running the right time. You just feel it.
Literally, at National Seniors, I was in lane 7 for the final, and I knew I was in very, very good shape, and I just hit the race way too hard. I hit the first 300 really hard, and then I actually fell over the finish line. Face planted right over that line.
Lovely.
So it's all a learning. It's all learning. Like
Yeah, it's all there for a reason. But the more I interview people in high performance athletics, it's a journey, and they're very humble and going, that happened, I'm not going to live in it, like, or be too down, because it can happen any moment, any time, like.
Exactly, yeah. Like with me, with that fall, obviously I was disappointed because I actually came third, and I'd wanted to be higher up the field, but like I still came away with a medal. But it was kind of then a case of, right, I need to park that and move on because I have another race. I knew that the Olympics was approaching, and I knew I was in contention for going. And obviously, I'm not going to want to go over to Paris with the thought of falling in the back of my head. So it's just a case of forget about it. It's done. Move on.
So, like in this year, you've had the World Relays in Bahamas.
Yes, yeah.
And that's where you qualified.
Yeah, so that was an Olympic qualifier, for the Olympics. So that's where we qualified the women's and the mixed team. So we went to Florida for like 10 days beforehand or something, and then moved on to the Bahamas. So I ran in the final of that. So if you won your heat, you had made the Olympics. So we won our heat, thank God. And then we got to the final, so got to run there. And that was my first ever run on the global stage. Okay.
And did you find yourself, did you ease into it on the day? Were you a bag of nerves? It's obviously, sometimes it's just a race. It's just the same 400 meters, but is it because your brain overthinks all the crowd and the cameras and that maybe? Or?
Yeah, there was definitely a little bit of like, oh God, this is like the world stage for me. Yeah. But I stood on that track. I remember when they place you on to the track to get the baton, and I genuinely was like, I feel like I belong here. And I think that really helped, because I think if you felt like the elephant in the room, it wouldn't really be great. But I felt like I belonged. I got that baton, and I remember I handed off the baton, and usually after 4, you don't feel great. Lactic buildup isn't always nice, but I think the adrenaline just took over. And I was fine. I remember standing there, like looking around, like soaking it all in, and I was like, obviously, this is what I want to do.
Okay, lovely moment. Like, I did read somewhere, if I'm not mistaken, that the 400 meter is probably the toughest event of all. Is that correct, or is it the 800? 400, I think.
People always have this conversation. We actually had this conversation on camp before the Olympics. What people think are the hardest. Yeah, I've never done an 8 properly, so I don't know. Okay. A 4 is tough, I think, because it's fast the whole way. It's
fast all the way, and you probably don't have any time to make a judgment and watch people. It's like, you better keep going.
You got
800, you have a chance to see what's going on.
Exactly. Okay. 800, you can kind of sit and try kick. It can be a tactical race. Like, it might be a slow ran 800, but with a 4, it's usually balls to the wall, essentially.
And I'm always like, the baton changeovers, especially after the first one where it gets messy. Like, have you ever had bad words with someone after a race going, because it always looks like you have to go for your opportunity. Like, does it get niggly, or does everyone go, look, it's just what it is, no one gets sick with each other afterwards? Or I don't want names or anything now. But
between
you
us,
can give me names. No one will be ever saying
between us, the Irish team, no, we've never had any dramas, thank God. Touch wood, none to come. But at the changeover, sometime they've brought in the rule this year that they said they want minimum amount of pushing. So usually you're positioned based on where your team is at 200 metres in. So if we're in the lead, I'm the inside. I'm on lane 1.
And you can't change that even if you come around. Okay.
You're put into place at 200. Okay. So someone could get past and be in last, but you're still staying in lane 1. Wow. So sometimes you'll get a bit of pushing in the back. Yeah. And you just have to stand your ground. Like, the worst thing you could do is slap the hand, because then they could say, you impeded them or whatever. So you kind of just have to.
The Gaelic training come in handy there. A bit of shuffle it, like. Yeah?
That's what the Gaelic helps. I can try stand my ground.
Yeah. But there's never been any, back in the change. You were.
No.
Okay. So I'm always intrigued, because you feel there must be serious tension, but no.
No, never, because we do our baton changes. We practice. We're kind of getting comfortable with each other. Before you even go into the call room, you're doing it with who you're getting the baton off and who you're giving the baton to. So you are comfortable. And look, it's a team sport, so you always kind of support each other. You're never going to knock someone. But
is it always the same hand? Is that a rule, or do you just pick for the rest? No, you always have a hand you like.
Yeah, no, you have to have your left hand to get the baton.
And right hand, the person giving it. Is that?
Okay. So you take it in your left hand, and then you switch into your right hand and run.
Of course.
Yeah.
You have to hand it over.
So you're giving it off in your right. Yeah.
Okay. So you followed on from the Worlds, where you knew, I'm going to the Olympics. And then the I'm hoping to get my timelines right. Then it was the Europeans?
Yes, that was. Yeah.
So many different events.
I'll say it now, because just in case people thought. So with World Relays, the team that was there wasn't necessarily the team that was going to the Olympics.
That was to go back a second.
Yeah.
How many people are in contention? At what point do they whittle it down to it's 12, it's 8, it's 6? Like the Worlds, how many people were potentially?
At Worlds, there was 8 of us, I think.
It went.
Seven or eight, 7 of us.
Okay. And then Rome, it went to...
Rome, there was actually 6 of us.
But was that whittled down, or was there
God,
new
I'm
people
trying
in?
to
There was
new people. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So there was one new person in Rome. Yeah, to what was in World Relays.
Okay.
So like the team that qualified us at World Relays for the Olympics.
Yeah.
Though, like, it didn't necessarily mean that was the exact team that was going to the Olympics. Because I remember when it was put up on social media, everyone was like, "Oh my god!" Like, I got the few texts like, "Oh, so you're going to the Olympics?" And I was like, "No, the team is, but that team won't be selected." It was actually till after national seniors at home.
Oh, so even that
it
was
can be
further
quite
on
cutthroat.
again.
Like, you never. You're kind of always kept on your toes, I suppose, because you know.
But like that's the thing. Like clearly, you must think it's the 4 fastest, but maybe different people bring different things to a part of the race that a coach wants. Is it or?
Well, to be honest, yeah, it is. It is based off times and like performances, season's best, splits in previous relays. But like, all it takes is, I suppose, one really good performance from someone to knock someone else down a spot.
Yeah.
So like, even though you weren't at World Relays, it doesn't mean you're not going to the Olympics.
Okay.
So
it was crazy.
You're always kept on your toes. Like.
And okay, so go just to the Europeans then.
Yeah.
You like I know, and we'll get to the Olympics in a minute about your involvement in that. But in the Europeans, you raced in the heat.
Yeah.
And then they won our silver medal, I should say. Sorry, in the final. On any given event, like what time or when do you know you're in or you're out? On the day before, is it?
It can change, to be honest. Rome, I found out the night before at about 11 o'clock.
Okay.
I was about to get into bed and I got the phone call. So it was kind of, because we obviously had 3 people in the individual 4, you had to kind of see how everything panned out, how people were feeling, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I got the phone call the night before and I was in, but like you go to the warm up the same, regardless if you're regardless if you're in that starting 4, the strike 4, you go to the warm up, you do your full warm up, you put on your spikes, you usually do some baton changes because it could literally be very last minute that someone says my hamstring is tight or
so you can change right up to the last few seconds of the race, really. Okay.
If someone is, until they really go into the call room, it can change. So I'd always say, like, regardless if I'm running, you go there with the mindset that you are, because if something changes last minute, you want to be ready.
That must be really mentally tough to probably know you're not going to get to race, but you have to be exactly in that sweet spot.
Yeah, sometimes it is, like, because I feel like, you know, even the wait to find out if you are can be hard, because obviously you're hoping you are, but you don't know. Obviously I didn't know till the night before, but I wouldn't change it. Like, running in Rome was insane. Like, the stadium was amazing. It was Europeans, obviously a silver European medal, like, they don't come around easy.
No.
And I think it just shows the strength that we have at the minute and that we are fighting with the best teams in the world. So it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really gone up the ranks there.
Yeah,
like,
definitely. Yeah.
Do you, sorry, that night when you found out, I meant to say, did it affect you badly? Or were you like, I'm mentally prepared that this might be the case and I'm not going to let it hit me too hard? Or did it hit you hard?
No, I was ready. I was like, I'm ready. I knew I was in very good shape, and I knew once I got that baton, I'd run fast. And I think there's something about having a baton in my hand. I don't know if it's just me or if other people are the same, but when I'm coming up that home straight, usually in an individual 4, the last 40 is tough. Like, it can burn. But when you have that baton in your hand, and, you know, I suppose you're a lot closer together to the other teams because you're not in lanes. And I see whoever I'm giving, usually it was Charlene, when I see her, I just know I have to get that baton into her hand, and it pulls you on, like.
Okay.
But no, it didn't affect me badly. I was like, this is what I want. I think every competition I've done this year, I've started to adapt more and like grow and believe in myself that little bit more. And in Rome, I was like, you done it in Bahamas, just do it again. Like, sometimes it can be really easy to complicate it and to get into your head. And I was like, oh God, but it's Europeans and it's a heat. We're trying to make a final. But I was like, all I have to do is get that baton, run, and give off the baton. That's it.
Make it sound very easy. I might try it myself.
Do.
Obviously, as I said, you get that medal. You obviously still feel the joy and the pride. Now, you've won international bronze and schools events. You've this year you won the InterVarsities gold in the 400 meters.
Yeah.
And then you have your silver from the Europeans. Yeah. Now, people might obviously think the obvious one is the silver, but was there a medal that you think that's as sweet to me as any of them? Was there a moment, maybe a magical journey that you just go, oh my God, I'm here?
So I don't think anything will top the European silver. I will say that. Like, that was standing on that podium and like the tricolour was beside us, and it was like a home home crowd. Like,
Yeah,
there was
amazing
so
atmosphere.
many Irish there. Like, it was insane. But I think when I won varsities, so my indoor season was a little bit rocky. I went to America and one race went okay, but then I think I just had a bit of a mental block and I just couldn't get out of it. And I was really disappointed with them. So going into varsities, all I wanted was to win. That's all I wanted. That was my main goal, go in and get the gold medal. So the heat was on the Friday and I ran a PB. I ran 54.2. Yeah. And I was still I was happy because I PB'd, but I was like, that's not the shape I'm in. And then the next day, I remember there was a yellow wind warning. Okay. So I was kind of like, right, all you have to do is win. Stop putting this pressure of times in you. Just get the gold medal. And I was chatting to Dermot, and I was actually kind of calm going into it because I backed myself. And then I ran a huge PB. And I ran 53.3. And
that broke a record that had been there since 99, am I right?
Yeah. I tend to not really look at records before I go in because I feel like that's an added pressure. I remember Dad rang me and he was like, you just broke the record. I was like, I didn't even know that. Oh. But I think that medal for me, that competition in general, was kind of when I was like, right, I have something in this distance. I can do something with this. And it was kind of like not a breakthrough, but it kind of was somewhat showing what I was doing in training. Like, I was running the time that I know I can run, and I've since been faster. So I think that competition gave me that boost of confidence that I needed. And then from then I obviously got selected for World Relays. And that was obviously amazing. So yeah, the European silver is definitely the top, but I think my second best competition this year for me personally would probably have been varsities. Yeah.
And you are in the form of your life, as someone quoted in one article. Like, so you feel that you know it's going well.
Yeah, I do. Like, obviously I would have loved to show it in Paris because we went on a training camp before Paris, and like, I was even surprising Dermot with the times I was running. Like, I felt in the shape of my life. I am definitely. But you know what? I think you can either let it make or break you. And I think I have that stubborn side of me that I won't let it break me. So I think in the long winter evenings when I have to train this year, that'll be what will fuel me to get through. Yeah. I
mean, you are only 24. Is Europeans coming up in 2 years again? They're in Birmingham this year, so the crowd should be even more mental. And 2 years time.
Yeah, but European indoors are actually in March. So we have European indoor competition. Coming up. So that'll probably be what my eyes are set on for the next few months, anyway.
Yeah, and go see what happens from there.
Yeah.
What is your training schedule? I mean, like, this year was Olympic year, so were you off to Dublin lots training with the team, or did you just keep it local most of the time and then there was camps, or how did
it was, to be honest, for me it was local. I did a little bit in Dublin if I was up, or if I had I had 1 or 2 physio appointments up there, but no, majority was local. And then so obviously for Bahamas we went to Florida beforehand to train and to kind of acclimatise, so we would have been doing baton changes and stuff there, and then obviously training ourselves. Obviously same with Paris, we went on camp for nearly 2 weeks before we went into the village, so you're kind of practicing there as well. But training this year, obviously we knew what the end goal was, and that was Paris. So Dermot tried to obviously plan all my training so that I was peaking at the right times. And obviously then you're trying to, select what competitions you want to be available for. And I was fortunate enough that I actually went to all the major championships. So I went to World Indoors, World Relays, Europeans and the Olympics. But it can be hard to be in the perfect shape for all of them.
Yeah, you pick your moment and taper your training accordingly.
Exactly, yeah. So with Europeans, I ran a PB in Spain, and that kind of, I suppose, cemented my position for that. And then we knew we thought a lot might come down to national seniors in Dublin. And Dermot was like, right, we'll get you right for that. And to be honest, I think that was one of the most frustrating races for me. I did a session that week with Dermot, and I think after I finished that session, I was like, I know I'm in flying form. I knew I was in good shape. I ran the heat at nationals, and I remember I cruised the last 50. I ran really relaxed. I won my heat. Then I went into the final, and obviously I fell, as I said, over the finish line. And I just hit it too hard. Maybe it was a mix of nerves, but I suppose I went out to win it. I hit it hard. I did what I thought I had to do. Maybe I could have been a little bit smarter, but I tried. Do you know what I mean?
It's all that learning phase, I presume.
I'm still learning. It was my first time running a 4 from lane 7. Yeah. So usually the way I've ran them is I see the people outside me and I can kind of chip away at them, or try stick with them if they're ahead of me. But with lane 7, I'd kind of went past the girl in lane 8 coming down the second 100, and then I just kept going. I I almost, instead of like relaxing, I just like hit another gear.
You don't really have the big massive screens there maybe as much, do you? I see what's going on behind me here. Like,
Yeah, show me like,
yeah. And like that's, I know it's a random one, but like, would you check screens when you have them available, or do you go, that's going to take my focus off? Or a quick click only, like, is it?
I don't think I would. I think it would depend on the circumstances, because I'd be afraid I'd look up and then I'd lose my balance or something, or like I don't know.
Well, as you said, it's a sprint.
It's a sprint.
It's not like a 2 or 3 lap. You have a time to.
You do see, like
assess.
in the 800s and the 15s, you'll see people taking a glance up just to see what's going on behind them if they're front leading. I don't think I would. Maybe when I'm a bit more relaxed.
Okay, well,
a bit more
this is your
confident.
first year at senior, as you said. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
what a year! Like, it's been amazing. So, I mean, if that's a sign of things to come, then you know you're going to be there for a long time to come, pending you want to, of course.
Yeah.
So, a normal week when you're at home in Sligo training, how many days a week would you have to train to keep level?
About 5 or 6.
5 or 6
Maybe
days.
6, yeah.
How long is the training session?
Depends what I have. So it depends what the track session is. Usually it could be anywhere between an hour and a half.
Okay, and it's
2 hours then,
it's
depending on
all
like,
kinds of start practices, sprint. Is it like how would you?
Yeah, so I actually haven't done any, blocks that you
Yep.
come out of. I actually didn't really do any blocks this year. I had a bit of a hamstring issue last year, and that would have been one of the main things that flared it up. So we just cut that out. I think I did one in Florida. And then
So you
we
did
left
one
it.
block practice all year, and you've had this amazing year. Wow.
I don't think in 4s, I don't know if blocks, they are obviously important, but I don't know if they're not as important as the 2. But yeah, it was more so letting my body just stay as healthy as it could. We were like, this is probably the best way to do it. And sometimes then I think if I was doing blocks all the time, maybe I'd overcomplicate it. I don't know. Maybe I'm telling myself that. But yeah, so training, depending on the time of year, obviously coming into racing, I'd be doing faster stuff, sharpening up. Winter then is slog training, we call it. So it's the longer stuff,
Okay, just
tiring stuff,
Yeah.
the cold, wet
I
evenings.
was about to ask, what's the training part you hate the most? Is it winter?
Sometimes like it can just be really tough. But also I think when you know you're really working, you're like, this is going to pay off,
Yeah, if you can have that mindset.
Yeah, and some days I don't, but most days I do, and I think having a group really helps. Or even just having Dermot. Dermot's very motivational, and
If you're training in Sligo, is there anyone that can give you a race? That, you know what I mean? Like, do you go, there's no one to push me? Or
there's a few of the boys that are down there with me. Yeah,
so you have to go back to racing the boys. Is that?
No,
I'm not saying. I know what you mean. You're going to be polite now and go, but in general, I mean, at the level you're at.
So for most of my speed sessions, I would have been with a few of the boys down in Sligo, and then for the longer kind of maybe the longer reps, there's a few of the girls. One of the girls actually from Galway. She's an 800 metre runner. I would have done some work with her as well. And then there was some days I was on my own. But yeah, like look, some trainings are tough, but
that's part of the game.
You got to do it, like.
And like Sligo, we've now 4 Olympians, like 2 in athletics, like and the year you've had, What is it making it? Is it from your upbringing? Who's been there to help you, or what clubs were good to you? Or?
I think since I started with Dermot, Dermot always believed in me. From a personal side, anyways. Like he always believed. Like there was seasons where it didn't go to plan. There was injuries and stuff, but he stuck by me. And I think without him, I genuinely wouldn't be here. He doesn't take enough credit. Like
he is the most humble, nice guy, and his name keeps popping up in things. He helps out at things from sports days, even in our own estate here. He's been there helping out, doing the little races. But yeah, no, he's an amazing guy.
If he was here now, he'd be like, "No, Lauren did the work and all that." But the opportunities that he has given, not just me, but I still see it day to day, like to young kids, to anyone. Like he will bend over backwards for someone. Like he gives so much opportunities. He'll land to the track with like a pair of spikes and he'll be giving them to kids, like it's just him, like. So I think for me anyways, like he has believed in me, and like he is the one that said it to me, like I think you can make it to the Olympics, and he's always believed I'd be a really good 4-runner. I probably gave him a bit of a tough run there last year. I was like, no, I think I'll stick with 2s.
It must be hard to go, you know your own body, but you go, I have to listen to this experienced coach, like.
I think deep down I knew I was a 4-runner. In 2022 I won the national 200. And I was in second till I'd say 40 to go. And then I just kicked on. And then I was like, right, my strength is obviously like a really big thing here. Like I'm coming from the speed side, but I had a little bit of natural strength. So I think then to just work on that, it was gonna pay off. Like I still love 2s. I actually didn't get to do any this year, but I think deep down I knew I was a 4-runner, and maybe there was a little bit of fear And that's why I was like, no, I'll stick with the 2s. Like, I won Schools International in the 300. And instead of going up, I went down.
Okay.
And the girl that actually won that, the girl that won the competition was 5th in the Olympics. Just gone into
so
4.
You're making your little measures.
So,
again,
so when I see that, I'm like, geez, okay, maybe I can do this too.
What's it like being like right now? You're finished college. You were saying earlier on.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, you're working or like is it like, oh no, I'm just full-time athlete?
No, I actually am working. So I work in Elvery's
Ah.
in Sligo, yeah. I'm actually just after becoming a brand ambassador for them. So still working there. I'm not really sure what the future holds as of right yet. I kind of have to make a few decisions. But yeah, I am working. There was times during the year where I had to cut back my hours because you're on your feet all day. And then obviously trying to go train was hard. So I cut back my hours and they were very accommodating. Which I was obviously so grateful for.
This is something you see some of the Olympics like, and there's so many pair of shoes, and so I don't think people understand that maybe that a lot of you, and I know I talked to Dean Clancy before, like, you know, you have to have a part-time job.
Yeah.
You know, obviously there's some elite athletes maybe that are, I don't understand how the payment works or whatever, but like they can live by just, they get probably sponsorship as such or whatever. So right now, like, you still have to go back to work. That's initially the plan, and.
Yeah.
But you don't know, will a sponsor come? Like, do you always say, I want a sponsor? Or how do you kind of go, what's going to make my life easier so I can actually fully focus?
Yeah, so obviously like the bigger brands like Nike and Puma, you're only going to really be getting them if you're
meddling.
Well, I suppose just you're on the rise. I suppose I'd have to have a bit of a bigger name. But yeah, like for me this year, because I was just on college, I was like, right, I'll get a job. And then I suppose I was like, right, I'll just keep it on. And when I could reduce my hours, it did help. But yeah, like obviously in an ideal world, you could just be a full-time athlete and just train fully.
Yeah.
We'll see what the future holds regarding sponsorships. There was 1 or 2 in the woodworks. I just don't know if I can say it yet.
No, we're not trying to get the...
But it's more like just, I suppose, things that it's going to help, like, you know, help with certain areas in life. But yeah, like I also did enjoy working because I think it's a switch off. It's time away from the track or the gym, or like time to just, I suppose, not be normal, but you know.
Be normal. I know, because not most of us run around tracks for, 6 days a week. So, yeah.
So, yeah, like for now, I'll be back to work next week, but I'm still sticking with my few hours in the week. And then I'm still on off season at the minute, so not back to training yet. And then I just have to make 1 or 2 decisions as to, you know, if I'll stay in Sligo or if maybe I'll spread my wings and try something else.
You're on a crossroads coming up soon.
Yeah, because I think looking back at this year, I'm like, right, and I hate to come across cocky or anything, but I made it to the Olympics based off just this year, like as in from last winter, I suppose, and I'd love to see what I can do if, you know.
In a different setting that might make it easier to flourish more, I suppose.
Yes, and like a different environment maybe. More training partners, things like that. Obviously, I have to sit down and chat with Dermot because I know that Dermot knows me the best, but he will also want the best for me. So yeah, just a few decisions to make, but I'm excited because I think this year, me right now sitting here versus me in maybe March are very different. I actually believe that I belong now, like as a part of that relay team. I believe that I belong on that stage. I think I have a lot to give over 400, and I think I will show that. Yeah, and I think I probably needed this to believe in myself because I've always kind of struggled with self-doubt. And thankfully I've had Dermot there to kind of boost me up, I suppose. But I think it has to come from you. Yeah. So I think reaching the Olympics, obviously it came with the disappointment, but I was still there. And I have to remind myself of that. I think at the time I was obviously so disappointed. And I feel like I'm not afraid to say that. I'm not afraid to say that it did hurt a lot. Because obviously I was never just happy to be there. With any sport I played, I was never just happy to fill a number.
I think every coach wants you to hear that, wants you to say that too, going, not just you're happy, this is great, I get a free flight to Paris and a few weeks holidays.
Exactly.
You're going, no, I really want to get on that track. Like, so I think you'd be pointless being there if you didn't have that attitude. Like,
exactly, yeah. So I think for me now, I'm like, right, you have to use this as fuel and push on and see what you can do.
So if there was randomly someone watching and they were kind of saying, oh, I'd love to have someone, you know, here's 10, 20, 30, I don't know what it takes, grand, to go, I'm going to back you. You know what I mean? Come in behind you, things like that. That would be like, wow, brilliant. Like,
oh, yeah.
Okay. This is something I talked to Dean before. Like, people, you're having to live a normal life. So a part-time job, whatever that pays, even if someone's go, well, we'll basically sponsor you, what would you be normally earning? So those hours you're working now, you race. So that would be like a dream. Someone walked in, here's...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like, look, that sport, like, I suppose it depends on who approaches you, or I think a lot nowadays is based off social media. Your social media following, how much you post. The girls on the relay team always say to me, they're like, you need to post more. Like, they'd be very good at it. I suppose they're probably a little bit more used to it than me. They'd always be saying it to me. They're like, you need to post more. But yeah, like, I think I do enjoy working because it's time to switch off. But yeah, obviously, when you are competing against girls that are not working and are training full time and their job is essentially running or track or their sport, it is hard. But as of now, it's worked for me. Look, I can't say much went wrong because
no, of course, it's an amazing year. Wouldn't you? You're probably a curiosity brain going, imagine.
Yes.
So I'd love to see like Sligo businesses even all pull together and go, let's back our Olympians. We have 4 now. Like.
I know. Yeah.
So
and that's
who knows?
the thing.
We might work a little thing on that some way, and who knows? We might get lucky. Like, but if there is anyone out there and you think, God, we'd only love to do it, then let's get it going. Like,
and I think that's definitely one thing that I've noticed over the course of this year. Like, the people of Sligo have really got, from a personal side, really got behind me. But I think from the 4 of us going to the Olympics and now the Paralympics, like, they have got behind us so much. And I think it's great. Like, it's a small county, you know. It's
insane, like 4 Olympians.
4 people, 2 in the same sport, a swimmer, a boxer, a medal, like.
And all at an age where they've plenty of time left yet to keep excelling more.
Exactly, yeah. Like, I think the support has been phenomenal. Like, even when I came home from Rome, out at home in Screen, like, there was a homecoming for me, and like, it almost would make you emotional because you're like, these people are like giving up their time to just come down and welcome me home, like, or sending cards, sending flowers to the house, like, getting asked for photos. Like, for them split seconds, you actually feel like a celebrity, and you're like, oh.
Well, you are now. You know, you live it, and soak it up, and enjoy it, like, you know. And I just go back, just because it popped into my head. We're talking when you go to the Olympics, and I don't want to know figures, but I assume you get some kind of a supplement of wages or fee or cost or expenses.
So your flights and all are paid for.
And if you're not allowed to say any parts, don't say it now. You know?
No, so our travelling, everything was covered. Our accommodation was covered, but like, we weren't actually given.
So you've no little supplementary, just because we know you've had to stop your job for a few weeks.
No.
Wow.
So like, as I said, flights, accommodation, all that stuff was covered. And then like in the village, the Olympics had given us stuff. Like, we got a phone, Samsung phone with the rings on it and stuff like B&B voucher, stuff like that. But no, there wasn't. Now, there is athletes that are on funding. So there's an Athletics Ireland funding and a Sport Ireland funding. I actually wasn't on it because it's based off your previous year. So last year I was injured. And like, Jesus, I didn't expect to be on it.
I know. It's not like, I know you're not getting the sense at all that you're angry or getting given up, but you're going, maybe there's something more governmentally, local, that we can go, let's back. I
suppose, I think after this Olympics anyways, I saw a few things online saying that the government should be backing athletes more, maybe.
Well, they give a lot of money to some sports in this country, and I'm not going to say which. And you go, well, we could also do, you know, what you do lifts your town, lifts your country. Yeah. And some other sports that get loads more money, it's not really lifting anything, like.
Yeah,
you know.
No, I know, I hear you, yeah. Like, I suppose the funding, hopefully, I'll be on it now, it'll be next year.
So
based
this year
off
will
of
help
this
you.
year.
Okay.
So that'll definitely help. But yeah, like, I remember coming home from, it was actually, I heard it from when I came home from Rome and from the Olympics. People were like, it reminded us of Italia 90.
I know,
Was that the World Cup?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, that's actually mental that, like, it was like the whole country gets, I think, behind the whole Irish squad. But obviously the relay finishing 4th was obviously up there with, you know, it was close to a medal.
Yeah, I know. You're still so proud and delighted. But you were kind of going, you felt not disappointed in yourself, I felt. And it was like, for the athletes, going, you know, they would probably be ecstatic. PBs and all these were coming out every side. Like
a national record. Like, the girls ran 3:19, and in every Olympics, bar 1988, that would have medalled.
Yes.
Like, I think that stat alone is insane. Like, I remember when they came back, because you do kind of like media stuff after the race, we all just kind of sat down, there was a few tears shedded, and we were just like, I think we have to, like, obviously we were all disappointed, but it's also 4th in the Olympics. Like, you know, when you hear that, you're like...
When you frame it that way and step back and just go, that's mental, like, you know. I
like,
mean, traditionally Ireland never had a big presence in sprints.
Exactly. Like, it's a sprint final. Like, we had Rashida in the individual who came 4th. She was our first ever sprint finalist.
That's right.
Which is insane as well. And then obviously follow up with the relay. Like.
So we're doing something right, but it's often down to the likes of a Dermot McDermott in each town.
Yes,
and that, you know what I mean?
I think if you could clone Dermot.
Well, we might look into that. That's going to be a bit of a tricky one. Maybe we'll just try and get sponsored. So, I mean, I know you said you're not sure yet, but it's definitely your goal is what, the next indoors you were saying?
Yeah.
And, I mean, you can't look 4 years on yet. You just go next year, I presume. But I presume there's a little twinkle of a dream, maybe 4 years LA.
I've always wanted to go to LA, so maybe I'll have to wait till 2028.
Well, what a bad way to go. I'm only going if it's the Olympics. I'm not going any other way. So.
Yeah, obviously that will be the big long-term goal. Next year, yeah, there's a lot on. There's European indoors. There's actually world indoors as well because they were postponed from COVID. But as a relay, hopefully we'll be, I don't know which one we'll target. We'll have to sit down and do that. Individually, yeah, I'd love to aim for something like that. I'd love to aim for European indoors. But again, we'll just have to wait and see.
Where are they on? Because if they're not far away, I'm sure loads of people in Ireland would love to go.
European indoors are in the Netherlands.
Oh, okay. It's not
World
too far.
indoors are a little bit further. They're in China.
Might make that one now, to be honest.
I don't know if many
And Birmingham
will go.
is 2 years.
Yeah.
European.
That's the following year, yeah.
So that's definitely not far if people make the plans early.
No, it's definitely not,
That's
yeah.
easy.
Short
I have a
flight.
feeling that's just going to be like an Irish festival over there. Like, it'd be crazy.
Short flight, yeah. So yeah, there's a lot on. Then I think World Relays are on again next year as well. So the one I was in the Bahamas, they're on, and they're a qualifier for World Outdoors, which are next September in Tokyo. So next year is a very long season.
Oh, okay.
Like
Just a lot packed in.
Yeah, the main outdoor competition is over a year away from now. Like, so it is a lot. Again, it's going to take a bit of sitting down. You know, when do we need to peak? When do we need to be running really fast? But I'm excited. Like, I'm excited for the journey. I think this year I turned dreams into a reality, and I will be as disappointed as I was. I think with Paris, I have to take a step back and look at the whole season. Like, I have a European silver medal, and I'm like, that is stuff of dreams. Like,
Yeah.
people dream of that, and I have one. Obviously, it was the goal, but I've made a promise to myself that I'll work hard and I'll keep going, and I suppose we'll let the journey continue and see what it brings me.
Brilliant. Well, I mean, even me writing down all the things you've done, and like so much of it is 1 year. Like
Yeah.
that was your first year, so I think the future is bright for sure.
Yeah, and I think, as I've said, wouldn't be here without the main man, Dermot. And you mentioned Chris as well. I always remember when Chris trained in Sligo, when I'd finished school and got into the track, he was always kind of doing fours. And I remember there was one day I was talking to him about it, and I was like, nah, I don't think I'd do fours. Like, I think I prefer the shorter stuff. Like, fours are hard.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting here and I'm like, they're not as gruesome as I thought. And I've been to the Olympics, so.
Yeah, not a bad CV to have,
No.
to know if you're good at that event
Exactly.
or not. So before we let you go, for a bit of fun,
Yes.
I'm going to ask you a few of your little favourites, just a quick rapid fire, okay?
Perfect.
So, favourite band?
Oh, I'm actually going to say
Or
Coldplay,
artist.
and
Coldplay.
unfortunately, I didn't get tickets.
If this was
Anyone
only going
out there
out,
with tickets?
this won't be out in time to get tickets. Sorry, Lauren.
I'd probably say, right now anyways, yeah, I'd say Coldplay, yeah.
Okay. Favourite movie?
Oh, that is a tough one. Oh, God, I don't know.
We asked Mona this the previous interview, and she said Finding Nemo. Of course, it'd have to be water-based. So maybe if you're running one.
Oh, you know that one with the bobsleigh? What's that one called?
Cool Runnings.
That's a good movie. It's probably not my favourite.
But it's
I like the Rocky movies as well.
Oh, okay. Oh, so this is getting insight into your mind of the training and the warrior.
Maybe I'll be in LA for boxing.
Okay.
That's a joke, by the way.
Well, no, it's on
No
camera
way.
now. We were not editing that out. Your guilty food pleasure that you know you shouldn't eat. When you're allowed to eat the worst food in the world, what do you go for?
Oh, probably cake.
Cake.
Yeah.
Just any favourite? Any favourite?
There was one made for me at my homecoming, and it was like a lemon drizzle. It was always unreal.
So if
It
you're
was from the
watching-
Gourmet Parlour.
Gourmet Parlour. Oh, well, we know to get it. I was going to say who made it. Can you make us another? Gourmet
The
Parlour
Gourmet
cake.
Parlour?
If you want to get Lauren out of shape, if you're her competitor, buy her loads of lemon drizzle
Or
cake from Gourmet
one,
Parlour.
the one from O'Hare's, the fresh cream one.
Oh, yes.
That one. Them
I
two.
like them. Okay, so there you go. You got two sponsors
ice cream.
already there now. She's just trying to get sponsors. And other sports, okay, and we know you've done Gaelic at a high level. And any other sport at the Olympics that you think, oh, I think I'd be good at that, or I'd like to try it.
Okay, I have two answers. So, think that I'd be good at. Maybe like a team sport, like football, or I don't know if I'd be good at rugby, but I feel like the speed would come into play.
I wouldn't like to be chasing you down the wing now, to be honest. So.
Maybe something like that. And then that I wouldn't be good at would be gymnastics. I'd love to try some of them.
Okay,
The
that's funny because Mona said the same thing.
Yeah.
You all want to try this gymnastics crack.
I think it looks so cool. Like.
Yeah.
Now, again, I wouldn't be good at it. I can do a tumble and a handstand, but
I think that's enough. You'd probably.
don't know if that will get me there.
And if I gave you €1 million right now and you had a week to spend it, what would be one of the first things you'd do?
A Coldplay ticket.
Coldplay ticket. Oh, there you go. God, imagine if you spent... There's probably some people spending near $1 million for them, I'd say, this
What
time.
would I do? I'd probably book a holiday.
Just book a holiday.
Yeah, I'd book a holiday. And then I'd probably book maybe another one with my family. I'd go on one with my friends. And
Yes. It's just relax.
and then maybe try save it, I suppose.
There you go. So now that's into the mindset of Lauren Cadden.
Yeah, they probably weren't great answers, but
No, there's no right or wrong answer. No, they were good. They were good.
what would you do with $1 million?
What would I would probably... I'd have a bit of fun with something like a holiday, but
Yeah.
I'd love to invest it into things in Sligo that would live on for years.
Yeah, okay.
You know, say like give some of the sports clubs something, because that's, okay, your money will just go on holidays and blow on, but if you give it to someone then
Yeah.
for years, so...
I also retweet that.
Okay, there you go. That was the answer you were supposed to. You were trying to get a running track.
Sorry.
No, I'm going to check. Lauren, I've never met you till this morning. You're an absolute joy to chat to. Great fun. I've loved learning more. I was reading more about you in the last couple of days, and you just try and get a picture of what this person has done and gone through. If this year is anything to go by, like you are on a stratosphere beyond what maybe some people maybe aren't aware of, and I'm glad we got to chat to you, tell people your story more, so it's banked now forever. And someone can look in and go, and if anyone's kind of not sure much about you, or maybe as a sponsor, want to find out more, hopefully this will give them an insight into what it's like to be an athlete. And thank you so much for taking time out to come in and chat to us. It's an honour to have you, but we can't let you go without a little treat, okay?
Okay. Oh, God.
So we have a local designer, Kevin Noon, Noon Boy Designs, if you're looking for him.
Okay.
He does amazing graphics, and this is why I'm wearing the T-shirt.
yeah.
I don't normally wear T-shirt in interviews. I always have my shirt on. So Kevin
that's deadly.
wanted to give your own special Sligo style. These are really hard to get. He literally puts them on sale every few months or a year.
That is
So
deadly.
you've probably seen the logos around the town, and you've seen people wearing this. So this is yours to wear with pride at all your sporting events now and interviews. But apart from
Thank
that,
you.
Kevin also, a few months ago, keep with me, Mike. I asked Kevin, look, I'd love to just do something for the Olympians, maybe get a T-shirt, and it has a very special Sligo connection. So he made this very special Sligo style, you have to say it that way, with your little Olympic rings.
That is unreal.
These are super limited.
And they're green as well.
Yeah. And then on the back,
For the town.
for the town
and the county.
and the county.
That's
So
unreal.
I'd love to say thanks to Kevin for doing that for us, for giving you those T-shirts as a gift, and Nikki Brujos and the team at Jacko Sports in Sligo. When I rang them up, I said, look, I have no money, I'm very poor. Can you give us some free stuff? And they gave us these, and I said, I'll leave it to you to choose the T-shirt. And I don't think I could have chosen
No,
a
yeah,
really
that's unreal.
more cool T-shirt. It's
That is
gorgeous.
deadly.
So thanks to all of them for
Thanks,
doing
guys.
that. So now that is yours as well to wear
That is
at events.
deadly.
You know, don't
That's
wear it in
my
the
new
race now. It might flap around.
That's
a bit
my
too
new
much.
warm-up top, I think.
No,
Sligo
there you
style.
go. We will want evidence, and we want you to post on socials that one now. A big thanks to James and Mark here behind the cameras who've been here today. As I said, we're not in our normal studio because of renovations, but thanks to the Riverside Hotel then who gave us the space. Lauren, the very best to look in the future. We hope you have it back on again in the next 6 months, year, with loads of new stories and new journeys and new successes and all that. So
Definitely.
the very best to look.
I hope to be back on, and I will be wearing my
Repping the Sligo
top
style.
if I'm back on.
Lovely stuff.
If you have me back on.
Oh, we would gladly have you back on. You just tell us when, anytime.
Thanks very much.
So that was Lauren Cadden, the latest addition to the Sligo Olympian Club, telling us her amazing story. Make sure you check her out on social media. Lauren, I'm going to go back to you here. What is your handle on social media?
Lauren_Cadden on
Lauren
Instagram.
_Cadden. And then if she's not posting, message her saying, why aren't you posting more?
Yeah.
That's it for me. Thank you again for watching. Be sure to give us a follow and a share and a like. We'll see you all again next time.
The Sligo Show is produced by Pixel Productions and hosted by Brendan Tierney. If you need video for your business or live event or would like to appear on the show, send us a message today.